What if I told you the greatest midfielder of our generation almost quit football at 12 years old? So everyone knows Andres Iniesta as a Barcelona legend, World Cup winner, Euros winner, Champions League winner, and probably the greatest midfielder to ever play the game. But what most people don't know is that at 12 years old, he was ready to give it all up and go home. So when Iniesta was just 12 years old, he left his tiny village of Fuentelvilla, which had a population of 2,400 people, to join Barcelona's La Masia Academy, 544 kilometers away from home. And he described his first day as the worst day of my life. He cried himself to sleep every night. He was alone in a massive city where he knew nobody. Just a 12-year-old kid, completely homesick, wondering if he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. His dad dropped him off at La Masia, went back to his hotel room and collapsed. He couldn't breathe. He was ready to drive straight back and take Iniesta home. But his mum stopped him. She said, all the hard work would be for nothing. The boy has to stay. So Iniesta stayed, alone, crying every night, but he stayed. Fast forward a few years, and Pep Guardiola, who was playing for Barcelona at that time, watched 15-year-old Iniesta train with the first team. And Pep pulled Xavi aside and said, this kid is going to retire us all. And he was right. Iniesta went on to spend 17 years at Barcelona, won 9 La Liga titles, won 4 Champions Leagues, and became a club legend. But it's not just what he won at Barcelona, it's what he did for Spain. July 11th, 2010, World Cup final, 116th minute, Spain 0, Netherlands 0. Iniesta gets the ball, takes a touch, and scores. Spain win the World Cup for the first time in their history. Over 750 million people watched the goal live. The boy who cried himself to sleep at 12 years old just won the World Cup for his nation. But here's the part that really gets me. After Iniesta scored that goal, he ripped off his shirt, and underneath, he had a message written. Dani Jarque, siempre con nosotros. Dani Jarque, always with us. Dani Jarque was a 26-year-old Espanyol captain who had died of a heart attack just months before the World Cup. And Iniesta, in the biggest moment of his life, scoring the World Cup winning goal in front of 750 million people, used that moment to honour his friend. Not to celebrate himself, not to showboat, but to make sure Dani Jarque was never forgotten. That's not just a footballer, that's a human being with a heart. And when Iniesta played his final match for Barcelona in 2018, after 674 appearances, something incredible happened. He sat alone in the centre circle of the Camp Nou, barefoot until 1 AM in the morning. Just him and the pitch, the place where he'd spent 22 years of his life. The boy who almost quit at 12 years old became a Barcelona legend. The kid who cried himself to sleep became a World Cup hero. And when it was time to say goodbye, he sat alone in the centre circle, taking it all in one last time. That's not just a career, that's a love story. So yeah, what if the greatest midfielder of his generation had quit at 12? But he didn't quit. He cried, but he stayed. It's not about never struggling, it's about staying when it gets hard. Andres Iniesta, absolute legend.